It's a common complaint. We're brilliant at innovative engineering in this country, but not so good at taking those innovations to market. To succeed in this increasingly competitive world, we really need to get our act together. That's the gist of a new report by the Royal Academy of Engineering, which makes a series of recommendations for government, but most importantly for industry to follow. Neville Jackson chaired the working group that produced the report. We have been brilliant in the UK for so long at creating great engineering products, but is it fair to say we've had a pretty lousy record at commercialising them?
Yeah, maybe using the word lousy is a bit extreme, but we have not been particularly good. We've been very creative and very inventive, but what we've not been good at is exploiting those ideas and creations to grow our economy and to provide the growth that we all need.
This has been going on for some years, though, is it not the case? I mean, I can remember decades ago stories of brain drains and great inventors going to get their products commercialised in the USA, for example.
Yes, it has been going on for some considerable time, and we need to do something about it. Unless we exploit our great ideas, we will not benefit from them to the degree that we really deserve.
So, can we just drill down a bit? What would you say are the core components of this relative failure to be as good at commercialization as we are at innovation?
Well, first of all, I think there's this short-term v long-term vision issue that we've got to get over. You have to take a longer-term view when it comes to exploiting, because it sometimes takes a bit more time. Secondly, we need to make it a priority. If you look at industry and it is to invest, it always has a choice. What should I invest in? Should I invest in my people? Should I invest in manufacturing facilities? Should I invest in R&D? Should I invest in a new product? All these are different investment opportunities. And what we need to do is to make it easier and lower risk for companies to invest, particularly in late stage R&D, which is the part that leads to commercialization and the return on capital that they need.
Okay, so let's look at the report that the Royal Academy of Engineering produced, and you sat as chair of the working group that produced this report. What are the recommendations that would shore up this particular weakness in our late stage R&D infrastructure?
Well, we've made quite a number of recommendations on what needs to be done, but at the core of it is this requirement for businesses to invest far more substantially in R&D. And to do that, it needs various supporting factors. Some of the key ones we've mentioned in the report, such as people. So we need the right people with the right skills, with the new skills required in the new economy, in the digital age, for instance. We need infrastructures. So the infrastructure to support that R&D, facilities that sometimes are too expensive to set up on your own. We need the investment opportunities. So we need the availability of capital at the risk level that will be accepted. And that's a really key issue. And several other factors as well that are really important. Another big driver, perhaps, is how we manage government procurement. Government procures hundreds of billions of parts and components and services every year. How can we use that to drive R&D? Take a good example in the US. You look at what NASA has done to drive R&D in the US. How do we replicate that in the UK? So those are some of the key things. There are a wide number of recommendations in the report. Those are some of the really key requirements.
But that we do have at the moment quite a lot of infrastructure around things like the catapults, UKRI, with their sort of 8 or 9 offshoots. Academia is pretty well geared up. Why is it not working to the extent that you believe it should?
It's difficult to say exactly because the R&D requirements for different sectors are quite different, and we need to look at them individually. So one of our key recommendations is that industries, particular sectors, work together to define how they're going to achieve this. So good examples are the automotive sector with the UK Auto Council and the aerospace sector with the ATI. They have got their acts together and come up with the business plans that are needed to say, if we invest, if we have the infrastructures, if we have these facilities, we can grow our sector and we can deliver on the societal goals the government has as well. And we need all sectors to take that approach and provide that business case to say why it is so important to invest in R&D and to have the right policies to make them work. When it comes to infrastructures, yes, we do have some good facilities at universities. We need to make them quite widely available. We don't really have government labs anymore. We sold those off, we made them private. How do we make sure we can gain access to those under reasonable conditions to make the whole thing work and have those facilities in the UK and ensure we have the right infrastructures for the future? I think the catapults have been very good at doing that, but we need to support them on a longer term basis to ensure those facilities are created and are available.
It does sound as if what you're saying is that there's a lack of an overarching vision about how we pull all the great things that already exist together to be more efficient in a way that engineers are accustomed to doing at the micro level and manufacturers do on a daily basis. It feels like it needs to be brought together. Is that government's role? And do you think that they've got the will to actually do it?
That's an interesting question. I think this comes to the real background issue, which we've moved from a world where everything is in silos to a much more connected and a system world. Everything works in a system, and we need to understand how that system works. And the organizations and the nations that work to develop that system are probably going to achieve the most. Now, I don't put all of the issues here with government. I think industry and each sector has a role to play. There's no point in leaving a vacuum for the government to fill. We in industry, in all the various sectors, need to come together and to work out what will be required to make that sector successful and to plan it and to fund and to cost it and to say what needs to be done. So we'll put a lot of responsibility on the industry sectors to getting their act together and coming forward with workable proposals and business plans that say, this is how we're going to achieve what needs to be done. This is what we need to do. And this is the kind of support we think we need from government. And that's not just about money. That's about the policies and the incentives and the other things that are required to make this all work. But it is, I think, as you've suggested, all about system and how do you make the system work?
I have said from the start of this conversation that we have this brilliance at the heart of our engineering and manufacturing sectors. From the sound of it, what you're saying is that if we do achieve this, if we actually make these hard yards now, we stand a chance of really, I hate to use the word world leading, it's been rather overdone in the past, but world beating, world leading. But we stand a chance of being very much at the forefront of this new industrial revolution if we grasp the opportunities available to us.
I couldn't agree more. We can't be the best at everything, but we need to be the best at some things. That's always been my view. And we need to really pick and support what we think we're going to be really good at and make that work really well. And I think that will come down to the partnership between government and the various sectors in getting their act together and making it work. Take a good example. We in the UK are a world leader in fintech, financial technology. Look at how we drove that. How do we become the best in fintech? How do we replicate that in other sectors? That's really going to be the key to success. And we're trying to do that, for instance, with digitalization and with Industry 4.0. If we can use the lessons learned in fintech to apply to Industry 4.0, we will be world leaders. But we have to make that work, and we have to work together in order to achieve that.
Neville Jackson. If you want to read the report for yourself, and I sincerely recommend that you do, go to the Royal Academy of Engineering website, the link here, and there is a link to the report on their front page. This has been a Manufacturing TV special report. Thanks for watching. I'll see you again soon.